All right, let's talk about something that, well, can be pretty stressful: debt. I know it's a heavy topic, but the whole point of this explainer is to cut through all that noise and confusion. We're going to give you a clear, actionable path forward. No judgment here, just a straightforward roadmap to help you get your feet back on solid ground. And wow, that quote really hits home, doesn't it? Let's be real for a second. It absolutely can feel that way. If you're feeling overwhelmed, just know you are not alone. That feeling of staring up at a giant mountain you're not sure you can climb is completely real. But you know what? Every single climb starts with just one step. Ugh, this one. Are you so tired of hearing stuff like this? The whole just save more or stop buying lattes advice? Yeah, we are not doing that today. We're going to skip all those unhelpful, kind of patronizing comments and actually focus on realistic steps for real world situations, because everyone's journey with this stuff is different. Okay, so where do you even start? We're going to use this profile we call Grievin Steven as our starting point. Now, this isn't a real person. It just represents anyone out there who feels totally overwhelmed and is looking for some actual concrete strategies to get out of debt. And hey, if that sounds a little bit like you, then you are definitely in the right place. This is so important. I don't care if you have a little bit of credit card debt or some really big loans, you absolutely need a plan. It's the very first step to taking back control. Because without one, you're just treading water, letting the currents of interest rates and minimum payments just pull you wherever they want for years and years. So here's the basic foundation, the starting block for pretty much everyone. First, you got to get honest with yourself. List out everything you owe and what the interest rate is for each one. Second, decide on your battle plan. How are you going to attack this? And third, you have to figure out a budget that actually frees up some cash to throw at those payments. It's a powerful, simple framework, but for some people, that debt mountain is just too big for this alone. And that brings us to our grieving Stevens, the people with more overwhelming debt. For you, we need to build on that foundation. When you're facing a really serious challenge, you need more than a basic plan. You need a detailed map, and that's exactly what a professional assessment is. It breaks the whole journey down into manageable steps. And just look at this. It's not some vague go talk to someone idea. It is a real structured process. First, you book the consultation. Then you get all your paperwork together. They do a full-on assessment of your situation. And from there, they give you specific, concrete recommendations. Then you just have to execute the best option. See? The whole point is to take all that financial chaos and turn it into a clear, step-by-step process. So what are these recommendations they might give you? Well, after that professional assessment, the feedback will almost always point you toward one of four main debt relief options. Let's think of them like the potential destinations on your map out of debt. First up, we've got a debt consolidation loan. The idea here is pretty straightforward. You basically take out one new, bigger loan to pay off all your smaller, scattered debts. You're swapping a whole bunch of messy payments for one single, cleaner loan. And the big one you're hoping for? A lower interest rate, which, of course, saves you money in the long run. Okay, next is debt review, sometimes called debt counseling. Now, this one's different. It's an actual legal process. This is for when you're officially classified as over-indebted. A registered debt counselor goes to bat for you, negotiating with all your creditors to restructure your payments, usually to get you lower interest rates and more time to pay. Then there's something called debt administration. This is another legal path that goes through the courts, but this one's specifically for smaller amounts of debt. There's a cap on how much you can owe. Here, the magistrate's court actually appoints an administrator to manage your repayments for you. And finally, we have sequestration. Okay, this is the big one. It's a form of insolvency that goes all the way to the high court. It involves surrendering your assets, your car, your house, which are then sold to pay your creditors. The remaining unsecured debt is then written off. As you can probably guess, this is absolutely considered a last resort. So you've heard the four names, but just knowing what they're called is, well, it's kind of useless, right? What really matters is understanding the very real trade-offs that come with each path. So let's put them side by side and break it down. The first big question is always, can I even get this option? And this is a huge differentiator. Look here, for that debt consolidation loan, you need a good credit score to even apply at a bank. End of story. But for the other three legal options, your credit score doesn't matter. In fact, they're built for people who are already struggling with their credit. The process is totally different too. You're going to a bank versus a counselor versus the actual courts. Okay, This next one is huge. Let's talk about protection. With a consolidation loan, you have zero legal protection. If you miss a payment, creditors can still come after you. But with debt counseling, administration, and sequestration, you get a legal shield. That means creditors can't harass you anymore. But, and this is a massive but, what about your stuff, your house, your car? Sequestration requires you to give up most of your assets. The other options generally protect them as long as you keep up the new payment plan. That is a gigantic trade-off to think about. And of course, we've got to talk about the cost and, well, let's call it the long-term damage to your credit report. Every single one of these has costs, from regular loan fees to regulated fees for counseling, all the way up to some pretty eye-watering legal costs for sequestration. And your credit record? A consolidation loan just shows up as a new loan. But the others, they put a big unmissable flag on your file that makes it really hard to get any credit until the whole process is over. So after all that, what's the point? The whole point is to go from being Grievin Steven, feeling stuck and overwhelmed, to becoming Action Steven. Just knowing these pathways exist, understanding them, that's what transforms that feeling of being stuck into a feeling of being back in the driver's seat, ready to take deliberate action.
All right, let's do a super quick summary. What are the big things to remember? Number 1, everybody with debt needs a plan, period. Number 2, if you're seriously struggling, a professional assessment is your best friend. It's your roadmap. 3, every single one of these options has major pros and cons. You have to weigh the costs, the legal protection, and the hit to your credit. And remember, options like debt review give you that legal shield from creditors, while sequestration is that absolute last resort where you could lose your assets.
So I want to leave you with this one question. Forget about solving everything overnight. That's just not going to happen. It's about empowerment. So what is one thing, just one single thing you can do today to move forward? Maybe it's just writing down all the numbers on a piece of paper. Maybe it's Googling a registered debt counselor in your area. Whatever it is, what is that first tiny step you can take right now to start your climb?